Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks. And yep, I'm going to be looking at the new Warlord Panther, which is a tier 7 Japanese medium tank. Yeah, Japanese, not German. I probably am going to have a little bit of a moan about some aspects of it, but I am going to be praising some aspects of it as well, because there are some things that we seem to be heading in the right direction again with regards to this premium. Now, it was a bit odd. Why have we got a Japanese Panther? I couldn't quite understand it. And why is it these colours? At first I did think they just, pulled the tank colours and a nation out of a hat, randomly. But apparently it's basically tying in with Golden Week. Now, I'd never heard of Golden Week, which is unsurprising because it's a Japanese... it's basically a week in Japanese culture, which is sort of a week of holidays, like national holidays. So it's a week-long sort of national holiday, with various national holidays in it. But in the article on the World of Tanks console website, it didn't actually mention Golden Week, which is something I did say to Carbide that really, it ought to have mentioned that it was actually being released for Golden Week, because at the moment it just seemed quite random. So there you go. So that's why it's black and gold, because of Golden Week, the week full of Japanese national holidays. But why a Panther? There's other Japanese tanks they could have, done in these colours. So why a Panther? Well, apparently, obviously, you're aware that we've got heavy tank number 6 in the Japanese tech tree, and the history behind that is that the Japanese bought a Tiger with the plans of shipping it back to Japan. Did I say the Chinese? Or the Japanese? Sorry, the Japanese bought a Tiger with the idea of shipping it back to Japan and basically reverse engineering it to be able to build the Tiger. And apparently they did the same. They bought a Panther at the same time with the same idea, shipping both of them back to Japan to reverse engineer so they'd have the Tiger and the Panther. Unfortunately, though, by the time the tanks were ready in 1944, and this is according to the blurb that's about this tank, they couldn't actually ship them back because of the allied interruptions to shipping, to the Axis shipping. So they never actually made it back. So there is a tenuous, it is a bit tenuous, but there is a historical link there. The Japanese did buy one, but it never made it back. But like I say, we've got heavy tank number 6 now. Moaning wise, let's just get it out of the way. Oh, and something I did forget to mention, I might even have to, I might put it up in text actually on the sort of videos. Sorry if you could hear that noise outside. I don't know what's going on. It sounds like somebody's just throwing large metal canisters about. The stats of this vehicle and the other vehicles that I may compare it to are correct at the time of publishing this video, and that's because lots of things seem to get buffed and nerfed recently. So they are correct at the time of doing this. So moaning out the way, it's just a reskin of a Panther. Yes, it's in another nation. I mean, you could have said that the heavy tank number 6 is kind of just a reskin, but it is essentially just another reskin. And personally, I don't like the gold. The black, I don't mind the black, but it's a bit too neat. If you get my meaning, it's just too neat and finished. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know. Personally, I don't like the look of it. I really don't. My personal opinion. Some of you might like it. I really do not like the look of it, but that's my personal opinion. And it is just a reskin at the end of the day. Now, I do moan a lot, but when things start going right, I give credit where credit's due. Now, price-wise, the Ultimate Package, which is available at the moment, is just over 7,000 gold. A little high and a little towards the higher end of the, the sort of tier 7 market. I think Craft's Panther was just over 6,000. So, this is probably going to come down. It is going to be in cheaper bundles, so it will appear a bit cheaper in there. But it is towards the upper end of what you could expect to pay for a tier 7 medium. But again, it is a sort of step more in the right direction. It does get preferential matchmaking, by the way, which is unusual recently because they've been sort of trying to head away from that. So it is unusual to have one with preferential. And the other thing is that something I've mentioned about the premiums recently is that they're kind of been outperforming the tech tree versions, full upgrade tech tree versions. And I've said that premium tanks shouldn't be better than a fully upgraded tech tree equivalent. At the very most, they should be as good as. ideally, you know, somewhere in between. And this, again, is another step in the right direction. It doesn't particularly outperform a fully upgraded Panther in some respects. It's almost as good as in most aspects, so it kind of falls really quite rightly into that category, and just sort of gives you something a little bit different. And ironically as well, again, this is probably the most accurate, historically accurate Panther that we have in the game, well, apart from the engine and hull traverse, etc. But it's the correct turret, it's the correct gun, just the engine's too big. But, you know, it's a bit ironic that the most historically accurate Tiger we have in the game is in the Japanese tech tree, and now possibly the closest thing to a historically accurate Panther is in the Japanese tech tree, which, again, you know, just irony. So anyway, let's get into looking at it, because I've been rambling on long enough about all the other stuff. So, essentially, most of it is the same as a fully upgraded Panther. It's the turret and the gun are the main differences. So you get an 870 horsepower engine. In real life, I think there was 700. But you get the shorter 7.5 centimeter, the KWK L70 instead of the long 75. But you get a decent rate of fire, 15 rounds a minute. You basically, it's your pen that suffers on this over the long 75. So you got 150 instead of the 198. Same damage at 135. You got 194 on your premium, and then 38, 175 on your HE. It's a 75mm. The HE are crap. And in fact, that's one of the things the Panther suffered with in real life, was pretty poor HE rounds. Aiming time 2.3 seconds, which I think is roughly the same, but your accuracy is worse at 0.35, and it almost doesn't feel as though it's kind of an accurate representation. I saw 0.35 and I thought that's not too bad. However, I've had a couple of matches. I had one, I missed 6 fully aimed shots in a row. I don't know what happened, they just all went wide. So the accuracy on this can be a bit stressful, I think is the word I'm looking for. It was very stressful. Hull traverse is 32 degrees, which is quicker than a standard Panther. And the turret traverse is 34 degrees. Again, a bit better than a standard sort of fully upgraded Panther, if we have a look. But the fully upgraded Panther gets a different turret with more armour. As you can see, it's 28 and 26 on the standard Panther. Aim time is indeed the same at 2.3 seconds. And view range, the standard Panther does get 10 meters more than this one. This has 370 as opposed to 380, as you can see there. What else? Yeah, so your traverses are slightly better. Turret traverse is kind of expected because it's that stock turret. It's not as heavy, and it on the normal Panther it does turn a bit quicker anyway. So that was kind of expected from that one. But yeah, there's not much of a difference. Terrain resistances are essentially the same. I think this has one which is 0.1 better than on the standard Panther, so it's not too bad. So mobility-wise, it's basically the same. Apart from, like I say, the traverses are slightly better, but that's because of the different turret. So I'm not quite sure where I got up to then. My capture card decided to freeze on me, but anyway, yeah, it kind of, a step in the right direction. It doesn't outperform the Panther. I'd say it performs possibly as well as, apart from the pen and the accuracy, that can be a bit of an issue occasionally. And just feels a little bit different. So, like I say, it is just a reskin, which is a bit crap again. I don't particularly like the colours, but price-wise and performance-wise, it's kind of a step in the right direction for the premiums. So, I'm kind of happy with that. And, I mean, all in all, if you take out the fact... Well, in fact, I'll talk about that in a minute over the gameplay. Let's just get into these stats again and what have you, and get out of the garage. So equipment-wise, no vertical stabilizer, so gun lane drive, gun rammer, and coated optics, pretty standard setup for my medium tanks. Consumables, I've just put standard ones on, and again, crew-wise, it's a Panther, you kind of know what you're going to be looking for. I mean, it doesn't see higher than tier 8, and I've had some great matchmaking in this, really good matchmaking. So I don't know whether I've just been lucky or whatever, but most of the time I've been top tier, been tier 8 and, been in the odd tier 8, but most of it I seem to have been top tier with that preferential matchmaking. So yeah, skill-wise, I mean, the traverses are good anyway, ground resistances aren't too bad. You could always, you want camouflage, sixth sense, situational awareness is always useful on something like this as well. Although, again, with regards to range, the accuracy can be a bit of an issue, so It's just one of those things. But you're probably not going to have to spend as much time at the back as you would in a regular Panther, because you're going to be top tier more often than not. So you can afford to be a bit more aggressive in it. But yeah, essentially, you know, it's a Panther. So when I stop pressing the wrong buttons, let's get into these stats. So power to weight ratio is as near as damn it the same as a regular Panther. It is ever so slightly better. I think the regular Panther is something like 19.4 something. This is 19.97. And that, I'm assuming, is just to account for the fact that this has the stock turret with thinner armour. It's got less weight to it. Simple as that. So that's it. So yeah, as near as damn it, it's the same. Same top speed, 55, and reverse 20. Same engine placement. Same armour layout as a normal Panther hull-wise. And in fact, obviously the turret, you know, is the same as the Crafts Panther. It's the same as, well, it's the stock turret on the regular Panther. So it's something that you're going to know. It's got a dirty great commander's hatch on top, and you know, 100mm of gun mantle at the front. But we'll have a look at that in a moment. Concealment 0.19 and 0.15. I'm assuming that's 0.03 better than a standard Panther, because that's what these with the perma camo always seem to be. It's yeah, 0.03 increase to the armor. Now I've just had a look on Tankopedia. The cost, the base cost is listed at 6,200, which is around about the same price as the Craft Panther, so you can't really complain about that. It is, again, a little bit towards the upper mark, you know, sort of upper end of what a tier 7 medium will cost, but it's still not too savage. Now, elevation is 18 degrees on your gun. I'm not going to go into all the different accuracies and everything else. I mean, you can see those there. The accuracy at 100 meters is the one that we normally go on there. Maximum depression is 8 degrees, and a while ago, a few updates ago, they made it so that I think the Panther gets that full depression over the whole of the tank. It used to be that it couldn't get the full gun depression over the front, and only over the, you could only get it over the sides. Now it's sort of all over the tank, so that has changed a little bit. I don't want to get too much into this because, again, it's a Panther. There's not much to say about it. You've encountered Panthers on the battlefield, you know how to take them down, and that's exactly what this is. So tracks there, again, the only one that's changed there. The normal Panther also has 1. The regular Panther has 1.2 for your second value. This is 1.1, and then they're both 2.3. So again, near as damn it, same terrain resistances, which again is something we've been seeing recently, where the premiums have had much better terrain resistances. Look at the Scourge, for example. Turret on top. Radio, same location. Ammo blocks, same location as the regular Panther. Same shell velocities and everything. It's, you know, it's that 75 centimeter. There's no change there, no surprises. Crew placement, again, exactly the same as a regular Panther with that stock turret. So again, no surprises. Armor wise, I'll give you the basic figures, but you know, you're probably going to be aware of these anyway. 85 on the front, 50 on the 50 on the sides. When my voice comes back, and 40 on the rear, and the turret is 100 on the front, 45 sides, 45 rear. So again, not really any surprises as such. Seems to be the same armor layout as a regular Panther, although what are those patches on the side? They are, oh, a small bit of extra track, which is quite hard to see because it's black and the track's black, but where those small bits of extra track are on the side, they're actually slightly thicker armour, oddly enough. Yep, consistency. Love it. So yeah, armour-wise, again, like I say, there's no real surprise. You know how to take a Panther down. You've come up against them on the battlefield. And most of you will probably know how to play a Panther. Most people have gone through the sort of German mediums by now. But as you can see, lower glacis is quite weak, as it is on, you know, all tanks. The gun mantle isn't bad on this, but obviously it's 20mm thinner than the small term turret, so you know you do have that. But yeah, it's not a bad turret mantle. I have bounced the odd shot off it, and again, with it not seeing any higher than tier 8, it's not too bad in it. It kind of does make it quite effective within its matchmaking tiers, or within its sort of matchmaking group, if you see what I mean. Obviously, if you were in tier 9 matches, you're going to have to stay back in this, and your accuracy really does become an issue. But anyway, oh, bonuses. Nearly forgot the bonuses before I get into the gameplay. 56% silver bonus, which is quite nice, and a 20% XP bonus. So, you know, for the Japanese, it's a bit different. You know, your other choices, the Chinukai, Heavy Tank number 6, the Kaiju when that comes on sale, or the STA-2, and they might not be for everybody. So, again, something a little bit different, and completely ignoring the fact that it is just a reskin and a Japanese Panther, it's not a bad tank. That's the problem, that these things sort of get tarred. You know, you think, right, reskin, you know, fed up, blah, blah, blah. But if you completely ignore that fact, it's not bad. It really isn't, you know, to be fair. It's just a shame that it's slightly marred by the fact that it is a reskin. But let's just get into the gameplay and see how it actually handles. Right, so here we are for the first of the replays. Tier 7 match, both of them are Tier 7. I'm afraid I didn't actually manage to get a... I got some alright, a couple of alright Tier 8 sort of games, but nothing worth sort of showing in particular. But as usual, you know, I've used a couple of sort of more average games. This one's not bad, probably about as much assisted as I do with my own damage. Next one's a bit better, but hopefully both of these will sort of show off its strengths and weaknesses. But yeah, as I said in the garage, just a quick sort of reiteration, it's, you know, ignoring the fact that it is just a reskin and, in my opinion, not particularly nice looking one. It's not a bad tank, and it's a shame sometimes that these tanks are sort of sullied somewhat, you know, by them just sort of being a reskin. But yeah, you know, performance-wise and everything else, it's not bad. You know, I can't really complain about it. And as I said before, it's kind of a step in the right direction, price-wise and performance-wise, with regards to sort of how a premium should perform against, you know, a fully upgraded tech tree version. So, yeah. Yeah, not, like I say, just not bad. You know, quite a nice addition to the Chinese tech tree in one, Japanese tech tree in one respect. But yeah, they really should have made it obvious, you know, that it was being released for Golden Week, because it did just kind of seem quite random. And just, yeah, not really trying to go after him as such. More just trying to make him bugger off. But yeah, hopefully it should be able to just sort of show it off a little bit, strength and weakness wise. So I'm kind of not quite watching this flank on my own. Did take a bit of a hit there that I could have probably done with avoiding. I went up at him the wrong way, really. Should have gone the other way and tried to sneak over a little bit. So yeah, I'm not quite on my own on this flank. I do end up getting a bit of support from artillery and from somebody else as well. That was a good shot. So it's not too bad down here, but I was still a little bit wary. And I thought, well, if I've got a bit of support from behind me, and you know, arty, and I think it's a heavy, I think it might be a Japanese heavy actually, then maybe do a bit of spotting down here. Although I was getting a bit concerned at this point because I've lost over half my health already. So I do need to try and get into a position where I can either side scrape or not take any more hits. And guess what happens? I take more hits. One from the side, from over there, which the next one did bounce, fortunately. It is nice that we got the side skirts on the Panther, the regular Panthers, a couple of updates ago, which was nice. I think that's what probably saved me there, actually. And it just allows you to side scrape a little bit better. And you can see, I mean, the DPM on this is quite good. It's the same damage as a regular Panther, but you just lose a bit of accuracy and penetration, but you gain a lot in rate of fire. I mean, the regular Panther's what, 12 point something rounds a minute with 198 pen, 135 damage. But that's got 0.32 accuracy, so you're more likely to hit. But sometimes it just kind of behaves itself, and as I said, you know, full disclosure, it doesn't always behave itself. I did have a match where, as I said in the garage, I missed 6 fully aimed shots in a row at a target that wasn't overly far away. It was on Westfield, and if you're looking at the map, I was sort of on the main sort of field up at the top where the hills are. There was something on top of the hill in the middle above the village, and I was on the right hand side on that rise with the trees on, if you get what I mean. I can't think of the grid reference. Probably would have been around sort of CB90-ish, that sort of area, I think, if I remember rightly. And they were in the middle, so, you know, it wasn't overly far away for Westfield, really. But yeah, 6 fully aimed shots in a row missed. So, yeah, sometimes it doesn't behave itself. Yeah, things got a bit tense there, didn't they? Luckily, had a bit of backup, and the Tiger deemed the other guy as the bigger threat, which is... He was probably the bigger threat, and yeah, saw my death coming there. Made a mistake, should have gone up and over and carried on, tried to get back behind his gun. Yeah, he deemed the other guy was in IS as a bigger threat, which was kind of right but kind of wrong, because if he had just put one shot into me, then he would have taken me down, and I wouldn't have been able to carry on putting shots into him, and that other guy might not have been able to one-shot him from sort of half health. So just one of those things, isn't it? Really, but yeah, not bad. Quite enjoyed that match. It was a loss, unfortunately. The last guy left on our team was trying to hunt down the last 2 remaining tanks on the enemy team for a while, and he just couldn't find them until it got a bit too late, so it was unfortunate, but he did really well. He knocked him down a few tanks as well. Anyway, on to the next one. Tier 7 again, this time on Liberty Falls. I couldn't think of the name then. So I'm kind of looking forward to this match. There's a few tier 7s in here, but I am top tier, and you can be a bit of a bully in this towards the lower tiers, as you can in the regular Panther. But yeah, the DPM is quite nice on it. I never actually worked out what it was. In fact, through the magic of editing, I might do that now. Okay, so after working out the DPM, yeah, it does kind of outperform the regular Panther quite a lot on DPM, actually. But it is kind of countered by that accuracy and a little bit with the pen. I mean, obviously, there's stuff that the Panther will pen quite easily, where this you might have to aim more for a weak spot, and then you might not even hit it because the accuracy is worse. But yeah, the average, I mean, this is without skills, without equipment or anything. This is just your bog standard DPM, you know, if you just jumped in a tank with unskilled crew, no equipment. So on the regular, fully upgraded Panther with the long 75, your average DPM is 1,687.5 per minute. However, on this, your average DPM, because it's the same damage on the gun, but obviously, like as I said, lower pen, yeah, your average sort of DPM is 2,025 per minute. So, yeah, just, you know, about 300 damage more per minute. But that's if you can hit the bugger and if you can pen it. I mean, this KV2 is a good example. I'm either missing or it's just not penning, and I don't know, I just have a feeling that in the regular Panther, more of those shells would have hit, and the ones that did hit would have penned more reliably. So even though this does have a big chunk of extra DPM per minute, unless you're up close, you know, it kind of, like as I said before, it's kind of negated somewhat by the accuracy and the slightly lower pen, but not entirely. When it behaves, the DPM on this can really be put to good effect. So yeah, you know, yeah, it does outperform the standard Panther DPM wise, but it's still, I still think it is a step in the right direction, because, you know, it does have those things to counter it. I mean, as you saw on that first guy, I was trying to hit his commander's hatch. And again, you know, I probably wouldn't have hit every shot in the regular Panther, but I would have hit more shots in the regular Panther. This just kept going wide. So it's, well, I'd say probably about midway through the match. I know the time has not gone down very well, but we've only lost a couple of tanks. The enemy team have lost, getting on for half of their team. In fact, yeah, probably getting that way now. I know there was a Hellcat up here. I missed him. It doesn't, and again, you know, I've not done loads of matches in this because it's a Panther. That's another thing. Again, even though it is just a reskin, it's just one of those things that, because I've been in the Panther quite a bit, you know, as a lot of people have, they'll have played through the Panther. It's familiar. You've not got to get used to a reduced mobility. You've not got to get, you know, like some of these premiums, it might be almost the same, but it'll have reduced mobility. Or it might have, you know, the Huntsman, for example. You know, it's basically the same as a fully upgraded Centurion 1, but less mobility, so you have to kind of get used to that, what you can and can't get away with. This you don't, because it's still got that mobility. You just have to kind of get used to missing a few shots and not penning quite as reliably sometimes. See that? Yeah, I don't know. That probably would have gone in from a regular Panther again, possibly, but as you can see, it's quite a capable medium. It is something quite nice and different for a Japanese crew trainer, for the Japanese tech tree. I know obviously it's not different because it's a Panther, but it is a bit different for the Japanese sort of tech tree and crew trainers there. And as I said, its base price of 6,200 is about the same as the Crafts. It's not much more than most of the other tier 7 mediums have cost. I mean, look at is it the Panther M10? Is that 5,250 or 5,750? So, you know, not a big difference. And I would have to argue that this is probably better than the Panther M10. But obviously, you know, if you're wanting a German crew trainer, it's no good because it's Japanese. So there you go. It possibly would have been nice to have it as a dual crew trainer. I maybe would have paid a little bit extra if it was, but I don't know. There's a few, you know. I mean, the Legion, that's one anyway. Oh, that was a lovely shot on him. Managed to set him on fire. And oh no, he is moving. Just, I don't know if he'd frozen, locked up, or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, that was a nice little shot to set him on fire. And now it's just going to be a case of trying to chase down that last TD, which I think is a T25 /2, possibly, if I remember rightly. And it's just a case of trying to track him down. So while I'm doing that, you know, I know I've sort of probably repeated myself several times, but yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, as I said, if you if you ignore the fact that it is just a Panther reskin for the Japanese, it's not a bad tank. Performance-wise, it's nice. DPM's lovely. Accuracy can leave something to be desired, but the pen, I know I've said that it's kind of compensated with the pen a little bit with the DPM and what have you, but I'd say the accuracy is more the compensator for that extra DPM over the regular Panther, because with this not seeing tier 9s, the pen hasn't been much of an issue, or I haven't noticed it really being much of an issue. Some of the Japanese super heavies, you know, they can be a bit troublesome. You know, the tier 8 and tier 7, they can be troublesome for it, unless, you know, you get around the side and what have you. I'm trying to think of any others that might be a bit troublesome. IS3s, that sort of thing, you know, your Russian heavies, tier 8 heavies, that sort of stuff might give you a bit of trouble with the pen, but I don't think it came up against any, so I might have done once, but yeah, I managed to pen his weak spot on top of his turret, so there you go. But yeah, that was quite a fun match actually. But yeah, a couple of thousand damage, quite happy with that one, and 4 destroyed, and it was quite a fun match. So yeah, you know, there are issues with it. I have moaned about it a little bit with it being just a reskin and looking quite ugly, but taking all of that out of the equation, it's not a bad tank, and you know, the looks don't affect the performance of the thing, do they? So yeah, as I say, a couple of steps in the right direction with sort of price and performance wise. Hopefully they might take that on board and continue to sort of move in that sort of direction, as opposed to giving us these sort of what could be argued slightly OP in some respects, and you know, in others sort of outperforming the tech tree versions. Hopefully they might move away from that a little bit and give us a few more things like this, but just new, just something new, not just another reskin, please. It is like banging your head against a wall. But there you go. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you found it informative and might even be able to make your mind up now. It is, I must admit, it's kind of tempting me. I do like the Panthers, and I kind of like that, and it's the fact that it's got the preferential matchmaking is kind of tempting me a little bit, but I'll pop it on Twitter if I do end up purchasing one. But anyway, there you go. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. As I said before, I shall try and be back later on today with another video. It was very tricky yesterday with the downtime, and then ended up quite busy, so I didn't quite have time to finish this off. Fingers crossed I'll have time to finish off today's video as well and upload that tonight, otherwise it'll be in the morning. So until then, take care out there, and I'll catch you next time. See you later.